What is going on, YouTube? Lamont at large. Today we are at the Calvary Cemetery here in East Los Angeles, California. This cemetery is about 130 years old, and there are quite a lot of interments here at this cemetery. And some of those interments are people that were very famous many years ago, and some of them were very infamous several years ago. So without further ado, I'm going to show you some graves, talk a little bit about the history of who they are. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. There's no time like now. So let's start off with an infamous story, shall we? So I'm going to imagine that most of you guys watching this video were not around in the 1930s. Early 1930s, you're in Los Angeles, you're in Hollywood, movie stars, singers, the arts. People want to feel good, people want to have a good time. There were drugs available to you in those times, not widely available, but there were party favors, as I call them. And in the 1930s here in Los Angeles, man, let me tell you, you're an actor, you're an actress, you go to a party, hey, is there going to be alcohol? Of course there's going to be alcohol, but shh, don't tell anybody. Because see, prohibition is around and alcohol is illegal. But if you're going to a party in Hollywood, I mean, a party's not a party unless there's whiskey being poured. Goblets and goblets of wine and beer and who else, whatever you can get your hands on. And you have mega media moguls at the time. They're getting their whistles wet and they're trying to get funding for the next Hollywood project and wooing the next starlet. And who knows, maybe they might get lucky that night. So one of the guys that was behind bringing the alcohol to the party was one fellow by the name of Dominico Diola. Okay, this guy, young dude at the time, 29, 30 years old. He came from Chicago by way of Italy. Now, Dominico, when he was back in Chicago, he had a pretty good job, as well, he likes to think. He worked for a family of brothers called the Jenna brothers. Well, you might know them more if you delve into their history, which I will in a future video. The terrible Jennas. Basically, mafiosi guys, right? So he worked for the guys out in Chicago doing whatever it is that they wanted him to do. He started off as a foot soldier, worked his way up. Can't find the reason why, but one day, you know, he says, hey, Chicago, there's a lot of violence, people getting whacked. I'm actually behind some of the whacking. I'm going to take my talents and move out west to Los Angeles. And he packs up his wife. Not sure if they have a kid at the time, but they would end up having a couple kids. And they come over to beautiful, sunny Southern California. So Dominico, along with some of his buddies from back in Chicago, they make their way to Los Angeles because they want to make money, not in the movie business per se, but in the alcohol business, in the gambling business, in the prostitution business, whatever makes a quick, fast buck, that's what they're going to do. So Dominico, he would end up working his way up to where, at that time, Los Angeles didn't really have an established Mafia family at that time that I'm aware of, but I'm sure you would ask people that were around back in those days, he would be considered one of the founding fathers of the Los Angeles crime family here in LA. Now, he wants to take control of the illicit liquor business on the what they call the north end of town, which would nowadays be like Van Nuys, Pacoima area. It was an area of Los Angeles at that time that wasn't very desirable to live because it's very hot. People want to live in Hollywood. People want to live by the beach in Santa Monica and Venice. And nobody wants to live in the valley. And the valley is just like ranches and horses and cows, and it's hot and it's terrible. Nobody wants to live in the valley. But in this part of Los Angeles County at the time, there's a lot of land and there's not a lot of development. So it's a great place to have an illegal distillery so you can make your hooch, your moonshine, your, whatever you want to call it, your booze, so you can sell it. So a lot of Mafia guys would have ranches and houses over there because, well, it's, they're away from the kind of like the prying eyes of LAPD at the time. And if you're a gangster, that's the place that you want to be. We go to March 19th, 1931. LAPD receives a phone call from a man that owns a ranch out in that area, Van Nuys, Pacoima. His name is Tony Calandri. And when he was out on his property that morning, he noticed something that he doesn't see every day. A body of a man that had half of his head blown off, what it looks like to be a large gun, if you will. So he contacts the LAPD. They come out to the scene and, well, yeah, it looks like somebody was eliminated. They don't know who the hell this is because, like I said, half his head is gone. Now, just by them knowing about murders and large caliber guns, they're going to assume that this is a shotgun blast that was created by somebody right in front of his face. Just bam, everything from his nose up was totally obliterated. Hopefully I said that word right. Anyway, so they take fingerprints of the body and they run it, and lo and behold, it's Dominico Diola. So they know this guy. They know this Diola character because this guy has been suspected in a few murders in and around Los Angeles. So as a matter of fact, one of those murders that he's kind of suspected in being involved in is a man by the name of August Parambo, who owned a quote-unquote joint. Maybe you call it a speakeasy, a place that shouldn't be selling alcohol, but they sell it anyways. And, from what they knew about this Diola character is he was one of those chicken hawks, as I call them. The chicken hawk, to me, is a guy who's short in stature, but is mean or is tough. This guy would fly into rages at the drop of a hat. So people, they kind of steered clear of this Diola character. So this guy, he's dead, messing around in the underworld, and they knew who he was and they knew what he was doing. So detectives' job now is to find out who's responsible for this crime. Now, when it comes to these old stories, this is when it kind of gets a little bit murky. So at the scene of the crime, the only thing they really found that they could have bagged and tagged as evidence is a bottle of whiskey that was pretty much drunk, or somebody drank it and got drunk. And so they put that in evidence, and I guess they had somebody in the LAPD lab analyze it, and they were trying to figure out if it's the same kind of corn that was used to make that whiskey that they could somehow pin to the person possibly suspected in killing Diola, and also maybe they can tie it into the illegal distillery from wherever it came. So eventually LAPD arrested 6 guys that they suspected of committing this crime. Now, of the 6 guys, one of them being Jerry DeLalio, another guy, Peter Fachin, and of course, Joseph Mameo, excuse me if I got the name wrong. These were wise guys, Mafia guys. They were involved in illicit activities or whatever. Now, here's the thing. Now, they were held in jail and they were grilled. I can't tell if they were arrested or they were just held, because laws have changed over the years. You just can't grab somebody off the street and keep them for any indeterminate amount of time. So it looks like these guys were kept in jail maybe about a week, and they weren't talking. One of the guys, their house was searched, and they did find what they believed to be the murder weapon that was used to kill Diola, but there's no ballistics test on shotguns, so they don't know if the gun was actually the murder weapon that was used to kill him. They suspected it was. I mean, there was no blood on the gun. They didn't really find anything at all. So none of those guys are talking. Their lips are sealed. They're not saying anything they have all kinds of alibis. Oh, I was with my wife doing this. I was at my business, blah, blah, blah. I could not find anything online that could tell me whether the murder case was filed against them and they went to trial. I don't believe there was. It looks like they were held for maybe about a week, and finally their lawyer, some of the guys' lawyer, they said, listen, you can't hold our clients hostage in jail without charging them. So eventually, maybe like 3 of them were let go, and then a couple of them were kept a little bit over a day or so. But basically all 6 of the guys that were suspected of killing Diola were let go, and I don't believe any charges were ever filed against anybody. And this is the final resting place of Dominico Diola. He left behind a wife and 2 children. And technically, this murder, from what I could see, remains unsolved. But, the LAPD, they suspected that he was killed because he was trying to basically muscle in on an area of town that was already muscled in by those other guys, and they just kind of whacked him to eliminate the competition. So, you got a guy coming from Chicago out here to Los Angeles. First of all, you're already bringing attention to yourself, because one of the times that the police had a run-in with him, they had never seen a bulletproof car, but this guy was in it. So that was the first clue that when the LAPD ran into Dominico here, that he was up to no good. That was the first bulletproof car that they had ever seen out here. There was a thing in Chicago, but they brought their, technology over here, if you will. Anyways, who knows what happened? But when you start muscling in on places where you don't belong, this is what happens. As I always say, payable on death. The rest in peace to Dominico. He paid the ultimate price. We're not going to get into too much of this man's history in this video, because I'm planning to do a video about him in the very not so distant future. This is Jack Dragna. He's buried alongside with his wife, Frances. Jack was the head of the Los Angeles Mafia family, Mafia outlet, if you will, for about a good 25 years. This guy was one of the original members of La Cosa Nostra, based out of Chicago. A lot of history about this guy. He wasn't the type that was, wanting to be in the spotlight, see his name in the newspaper. He couldn't avoid it. And this guy, he had a lot to do with many attempted assassinations, if you want to call it that, of his rival, Mickey Cohen. We're going to discuss that story. We're going to visit some locations, maybe where he used to live, all that good stuff. Just dropping by to show you his grave. There'll be a lot to look up if you want to look him up online. We're going to delve into that hopefully soon. Hopefully soon. Ladies and gentlemen, Jack and Frances Dragna. Hey, you guys think that this place right here has any kind of air conditioning? Not sure if it does, but we're gonna go inside, get away from the sun for a hot minute, and see what we can find. Wow, it's nice looking in here. The problem that drives me crazy about doing videos on my channel is a lot of times I don't even plan them. I just wake up one day, I'm like, let me go check out the cemetery. And then next thing you know, I'm doing a video and I come ill prepared. There's got to be somebody in this mausoleum that was probably very well known in Hollywood, or maybe they were very well known in their community, and I have no idea where they're at, what their story is. One of the things that bothers me that I really have to do a better job of when it comes to doing videos is being more prepared, for sure. This guy, Michael Zenzola right here, was 25 years old at the time of his death. He owned a service station over in Temple City. And after he left his business, he went to go link up with his friend, Joseph Criscione, who he either owned or managed a car wash not too far from where I'm currently at right now. These guys were pretty good friends. They knew each other for a few years. So he goes to the car wash and they're talking. They're at his office. The guy Joseph pulls out a .45 caliber pistol. Now, according to an eyewitness who was there when this occurred, it was like horseplay or a joke. So he points it at Michael's head and he says, "I'm gonna shoot you." Very jokingly, though, this was not a murder. Little did he know was that there was a bullet in the chamber of that gun, and you hear the loudest bang ever, and a bullet leaves the barrel of that gun and goes straight into Michael's head right here, killing him instantly. Immediately, Michael falls to the floor and there's just blood pouring out of a huge wound, exit wound in his head. And if anybody knows pistols, a .45 cal is a really huge gun. So they immediately go to call the paramedics to come to the scene, and Joseph starts freaking out. And according to that witness, Joseph takes the same gun that he used, that he accidentally killed his friend Michael here, and put it to his head. They were pleading with him, "Don't do it, don't do it. Like, stop, put the gun down. We know it was an accident." Bang. 2 people dead over a stupid joke. And it all happened within a matter of a few minutes. This right here is the final resting place of Rosario DeSimone. His plaque is right here, and he's buried next to his wife Rosalia, and on her left is their son Frank. So Rosario who originally, I believe he was born in 1873 back in Sicily, I believe. So this guy, when he immigrated to the United States, he was in charge of the Pueblo, Colorado crime family. Of all places to work in the Mafia in Pueblo, Colorado. But I guess it was open and ripe for the taking. So later on, he came over to Los Angeles, and he didn't really do too much out here in Los Angeles because by that time, I don't know what made him want to do so, but he quote unquote went straight. He goes straight. He ends up opening up a produce business, and that's what he did for the rest of his life. However, his son Frank right here, well, his is a curious case, and we're going to get more in depth into his story. But after Jack Dragna died, Frank right here, he took over as head of the Los Angeles crime family. This guy was actually a lawyer. He graduated from USC Law School and passed the bar, became a full-fledged lawyer in 1933. So him, Frank DeSimone, was constantly, kind of like how Jack was, trying to off Mickey Cohen. Eventually, Frank here died when he was about 58 years old or so. He died of a heart attack. But just a small piece of the Los Angeles Mafia story right here at this very grave. Rosario with his son Frank, and Rosalia, the mother. One of the pound for pound greatest fighters of all time is, of course, Sugar Ray Robinson. As a matter of fact, if you look at pound for pound top list of any boxing website or any boxing magazine throughout the years, Sugar Ray Robinson, in my personal opinion, is always the name that I see on top of the list. So we're going to go back to June 24th, 1947. So Sugar Ray Robinson, by this time now, is a very, very well-seasoned fighter. And he's fighting another seasoned fighter by the name of James Doyle. Now, at that time, James Doyle has already 53 fights under his belt. 53 fights. Of those, 14 losses, 3 draws, 43 wins. So this guy ain't no scrub. You might have never heard of him in just common boxing history, but he was quite well known and popular in his heyday. He had been fighting at that time for already about 6 years. So on that night, Sugar Ray Robinson, he has the weirdest dream. He dreams that he's fighting James, and he hits him with a left hook and knocks him out, and he dies right there in the ring, right in front of him. And Ray, he wakes up and he's very disturbed by the dream. As a matter of fact, he's so disturbed that he calls one of the guys that's in charge of the boxing commission in Cleveland, Ohio, which is where the fight is taking place. And he says, "Hey, I'm going to have to bow out of the fight. I got a bad dream that I killed the guy that I'm going to fight tomorrow." And they tell him, they say, "What are you talking about?" And it gets to the point now where, like, he's going to cancel the fight over some stupid dream. They eventually get kind of desperate, and they call a priest and a reverend to kind of console Ray into just fighting, because if he cancels the fight, there's going to be a lot of money lost. A lot of people are going to be wanting their money back for the tickets. It's going to be an absolute mess, you know, and it's not going to look good for Ray's image. So finally they convince him, man, it's just a dream. You know, don't worry about it. Everything's going to be fine. So that day, June 24th, 1947, they step into the ring. Now, they're fighting in Cleveland. And the reason why they have to fight in Cleveland is because, well, James, he got his boxing license revoked out of California because his last couple of fights have ended very nasty in a brutal knockout. So they're not wanting to sanction him to fight in California. So they had to head 2,000 miles away to Ohio. So the night of the fight, both men step into the ring, ding, ding, ding. And now Sugar Ray, he gets into the swing of things. It's just business as usual for Sugar Ray Robinson. So the first 5 rounds, Ray is just battering him. Just like every other opponent he beats, he's just battering him. However, in the 6th round, James comes on. He hits him with 2 good shots that kind of, stagger Ray, and one of the punches cuts him above the left eye. So, okay, James wins that round. And then the 7th round, Sugar, he comes out and just pummels him. So now it's, the scorecards going into the 8th round is basically it'd be 6-1 in favor of Sugar Ray Robinson. And it looks like Ray is going to be cruising to yet another victory to latch onto his belt. So the 8th round, ding, 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 they fight again. And Ray is just giving it to him. He hits him with a left hook right on the temple, and James falls down like a sack of bricks. He tries to get up, and the referee's counting him out. He makes it, on the ropes. He's struggling to get up. He gets up, but the corner, they just throw in the towel. He's seen enough. Fight's over. So Sugar Ray Robinson jumps up, gloves up. He's still the champion. He's still the welterweight champion. James is not feeling too good. He's rushed to the hospital with a severe brain bleed. He would never make it out of the hospital. I want to say about 16 hours later, he dies. It could have been 6 hours, it could have been 16 hours. Point is, he died at that hospital where they took him to. And James is the first boxer ever to die in the ring over a championship fight. There's been plenty of guys that have died in the ring, but for a championship fight, he's the first one. And he was saying before the fight, because as a boxer, when you suffer brutal losses, it really takes its toll on you mentally and physically. And he was wanting to continue to fight because he wanted to buy his mother a house. And Sugar Ray Robinson, when he found out that that guy had died, was torn up. And I'm not sure how many fights afterwards, but Sugar Ray Robinson was so scared to fight the next few fights afterwards. Because, Sugar Ray Robinson, he fought all the way from about 1940 to 1965, 25 years. And he said, after the next few fights, that he was scared to, hit somebody hard. And it really emotionally, it just damaged him. And James was never able to get his mom the house that she wanted, but Sugar Ray Robinson made sure that she got that house. So he took money out of the next few fights, and he bought his mother here the house. This is James Doyle. He's buried next to his mother, Marie Delaney. And very tragic story. Just, young kid, only 23 years old. Rest in peace. I don't know if you guys remember back in the day when I used to do videos at cemeteries, and I would do part 1s and part 2s to kind of break it up because I wasn't used to doing long cemetery videos. I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm thinking about bringing that back. I've been at this cemetery now. I know the video might seem a little bit quick to you guys, and I hope it does. That tells me that I'm doing a good job. I've been at this cemetery for almost 4 hours now, and a good hour and a half of it has just been sightseeing, so I haven't been doing my job. So this is going to be part one of the East Los Angeles Calvary Cemetery. I don't know when I'm going to come back out here again. There are a lot of famous people at this cemetery, and there's a good chance that if I just stop the video now to continue it tomorrow, that I'm not going to come back here to do it. And I do have a vlog that ends at this cemetery that I got to do. And on top of that, I have to make it out to Glendora before the cemetery closes its gates for the evening. And, well, I'm thirsty. And, well, I'm kind of hungry. And it's 93 degrees. It's pretty hot out here. So what up? With that being said, live but not live, still alive by the grace of God. I'm Lamont at large. I hope you enjoyed the video. And I will try not to do too many short cemetery videos, but sometimes time constraints, weather, and just me getting lost in my own mind about the many souls here at this cemetery. So I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.